Alrighty, we can go ahead and get started as people join. But really appreciate the time and everyone coming out here today to discuss automation for K-12 and higher education. I'm Rachel Dissler. I'm the K-12 account executive for MuleSoft, and I'm joined today with NTT Data, and we're going to walk through some of our automation offerings with RPA and IDP. A quick reminder that Salesforce is a publicly traded company and customers should base their purchasing decisions on products and services that are currently available. Today, we are going to be going over technology that is available, but just an important reminder as you might hear some new offerings in the news and things like that. And then before we get started, really just want to take a moment to say thank you for joining us today and learning more about MuleSoft, our partners, and our technology capabilities. The agenda for the next about 40 minutes or so, we're going to walk through some MuleSoft introductions. Then we are going to have a technical overview of RPA and IDP. And then we're going to pass it over to NTT to walk through a use case for education and a demo of both IDP and RPA. And then we'll close out with any questions that you might have. Feel free to use the chat functionality below to ask questions throughout, and we'll make sure that before we log off today, we're able to address any questions that you might have. Like I said, I'm Rachel Dissler, and I'm the K-12 account executive with MuleSoft, and I'm joined today with T. Nguyen, who is our education lead solutions engineer. And then on the NTT side of the house, we have both Josh and Sahil, who will introduce themselves shortly here when they take over. So, a brief introduction to MuleSoft. MuleSoft is a trusted solution in the market across multiple different technology categories, as you can see on this slide. And our vision and products have been validated by both our customers and analysts. We're a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrants for iPaaS, API management, and low code application platform, and a visionary for RPA. And then on the right hand side, you can also see that we're a strong performer in Forrester's Digital Process Automation DPA wave. And when you think about bringing all of these technologies together in one unified platform, you can really build great experiences. We were founded as the first iPaaS solution back in 2006, really introducing the concept of API led connectivity and helping our customers create a composable organization. And we are, helping organizations across all different industries. And when it comes to education, we have hundreds of education customers globally that we're helping to digitally transform. And as we started out as an integration platform, and you might be familiar with those capabilities, we've really continued to innovate and evolve over time, including entering the automation space, which we're going to cover today. And as you all know, schools continue to face growing expectations and increasing technology demands. And we're talking to schools, school systems, districts, universities, institutions on a daily basis. And we're hearing about all of the challenges that come with siloed technology and limited access to data. And oftentimes, we're hearing that technology silos exist across different departments, which results in multiple systems being used to track information. And the sheer number of applications and systems across your organizations are larger than ever before. And many schools are relying on outdated legacy systems that house that critical student records. And as these systems are hard to access, it presents a lot of challenges, especially when thinking about integrating with modern technologies. And we also know that with these data silos and legacy systems, it leads to a ton of manual processes and inefficiencies, which means that faculty and staff are spending so much time on maintenance and manual work. And so we have a ton of functionality that's really helping to innovate and transform here. And so when we think about how MuleSoft is really impacting the education world, it's through a couple of different ways. First and foremost, right, helping to connect any system or application or data set with our integration capabilities. And then why we're here today, helping to build end to end automations across any application. And so when we think about MuleSoft as a whole, we can really help out in these four different areas. But today we're going to focus on piece two, which is creating workflows and automating manual tasks with minimal coding through our automation capabilities. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to T. Nguyen to walk through a little bit more of a technical deep dive of both RPA and IDP.
Thank you, Rachel. Now, understanding the challenges institutions and schools are facing that Rachel went over earlier, how are we supposed to be ready for automation and what can we do differently? So before we jump into an overview of different products within MuleSoft automation toolset, I want to quickly go over some of the key highlights when it comes to the gap between the business team and the IT team. So in today's fast-paced world, schools and institutions often really struggle with the common divide, the gap between the IT and the business team. Business is not aware of what IT is doing and vice versa. This disconnect can really lead to frustration, delays, and missed opportunities. Now, what if there's a way to really help to bridge the gap? And what if both teams could work together seamlessly to drive innovation and efficiency? So this is where MuleSoft come and provide the help here. Our end-to-end automation solution really help IT and business team by proactively empowering business team to solve challenges around human task and process automation. And then you can spread the ability to innovate across your organization and avoid the complications of past approaches to automation. On top of that, you can also empower your IT team to manage the system level integrations. Next slide, please. Now, by leveraging MuleSoft capabilities, both the business team and the IT team can collaborate and operate on a single platform now. Before we decide which automation method is relevant to you, it's important to understand the types of automation and which buckets your use case fall into. It could be just one, two, or a combination of all three automation buckets that I'm going to address here that really address your needs of an end-to-end automation experience. So the first one is a process automation. This is mostly for business users who want to automate their manual processes. For this one, we use Composer. So MuleSoft Composer is a low-code integration platform that enables non-programmers to connect application and data sources with clicks and not code. And then the next bucket is task automation. This is mainly used for human tasks, such as manual entry of data, reading from files, documents, accessing legacy system, etc. For this one, we use MuleSoft RPA or Robotic Process Automation. We use this for this purpose. The users are a combination of business users to really help to define that RPA process, and then RPA developer to design, test the RPA process in the RPA builder. And we're going to see that in the demo that NTT we're going to show us later on. The next bucket is system automation. This means automating the process that involves many different source systems and sometimes need data transformations. For example, integration between your SaaS application, your SIS application, your on-premise, your third-party system. This is where any point platform can be used. This is used by technical folks like developer to build, manage, monitor the integrations with the help of over 300 connectors within Anypoint platform. Next slide, please. Now, I want to quickly go over MuleSoft RPA, Robotic Process Automation. We're going to be seeing a demo of RPA as well. So RPA is a single out-of-the-box platform where all of the available tools that support a rapid RPA delivery. It is a purpose built for every team, so you can automate any process using point and click tools, whether it's through a UI, a legacy system, a document, or image where an API doesn't even exist. Our RPA solution help you to collaborate on a single secure platform so that your business and IT teams can easily work together and break that silos on every step of your automation journey. And lastly, the best of this is unlike any RPA products in the market, when it comes to our end-to-end automation for a more complex, advanced workflow, MuleSoft RPA allows you to share and reuse RPA as an API so that you can easily integrate your RPA boss into your larger automation and integration flows. RPA seamlessly integrated with Salesforce Customer 360, Endpoint Platform, Composer, and it's really the most integrated, scalable RPA solution that helps you to achieve an end-to-end automation. Next slide, please. Now, we have tackled structured data with Anypoint, Composer, and RPA. What about the unstructured data? Now, let's start by defining unstructured data. What is that? It's documents, image, receive, attachment, registration form. It's really any data that isn't already in rows and columns. In fact, 80% of your data is actually unstructured data. This makes accessing the data and making them useful for integration in AI applications super difficult. Next slide, please. So by bringing in those unstructured pieces of information, it's critical when thinking about automation. That's where we bring in our intelligent document processing solution, or IDP. With the power of AI, you can extract key pieces of information from your unstructured documents and bring them into the integration network. So in the education space, we typically have even more unstructured data due to the paper-based process we still have today. And most of the organizations store mission-critical data in those documents. So bringing them into the fold is very important. Now, using IDP, we can maximize the efficiency of your organization while reducing costs. We can automate the entire workflows that surround these documents, and we can accelerate the time to get started with our pre-trained models. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned earlier, these tools are meant to work in a complete silos. So by combining tools like RPA and IDP, it allows us to quickly make use of all of our unstructured data. Now, instead of inputting data manually from PDFs and images, IDP has AI built in, which automatically scans your incoming documents to check for those and possible variables. And then what happened next? These variables can be used to update Salesforce records or the backend system of your choice. And then after that, this document scanning action becomes an additional composable building block that can be reused later on. Next slide, please. So on this one, it's just some resources that you can leverage after the webinar. There's an upcoming meetup virtually in terms of introduction to Einstein for MuleSoft IDP. That's the newest feature that we are announcing that it will be available within our IDP solution. So I highly recommend you to join this workshop. I know it's tomorrow, but hopefully we'll be able to send the presentation slide deck over to you so you can go ahead and register for the event. With that, I'm going to pass the control over to the NTT Data team. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. T there, Rachel, and the MuleSoft team. Incredibly grateful and honored for your partnership. And also everyone on this call here today, your time. I know the emails are piling up, so we appreciate every second you can give us as we kind of talk through some of this stuff. So what we just saw there, right? We saw a little bit about the product itself around automation and the benefits, the incredible capabilities you can do. And the next question is always like, okay, how do we implement it, right? How do we actually get the business value, the ROI we're looking for to help speed up any of the processes we have going on internally? And that's where we come into play, NTT Data. So just for a little bit of an agenda, I want to just spend a quick minute on terms of who we are as a company, a little bit of background on us and why we get the privilege of talking with you all here today. Then we're going to get right into the demo. I want to kind of showcase a real life education use case here for you all. And then we'll have a little bit of what I call like a take-home message, take-home slide of like, hey, what are some things to think about, right, in your meetings you're having you're having some discussions internally with your IT teams you want to be aware of that maybe automation kind of fit into sort of your cycle there as a team there. And then we'll do next steps and then a little bit of Q&A. So, Sahil, if you can go to the next slide, please. Here and then get granular there. So just at high level, right, who NTT Data is as a company there. We are a strategic MuleSoft partner and a Summit Salesforce partner. And I bring that up, and they obviously have a vast Rolodex and portfolio of services, right? But at its core, what I cover the public sector for NTT Data when it comes to MuleSoft and Salesforce. At its core are these two partnerships we have with MuleSoft and Salesforce. And why I think that's important, especially in the higher education space or education in general, is vendor consolidation. I see that a lot, especially when schools or companies are looking to sort of kind of build that student information system or that admissions recruiting sort of that access, that portal, things around that. Having a vendor that can do both, right? That MuleSoft integration, automation, as well as that Salesforce CRM experience can be very, very valuable when it comes to your work. And for us too, it's about being a trusted advisor, right? We'll have the development work, we'll have that tactical use case work, but also making sure that we're thinking long term, and being innovative is very, very important to us. So, Sahil, you want to go to the next slide there? As it relates to MuleSoft now, three things I think are really, really important. And these are obviously pillars at NTT, but if you're out in the landscape and you're looking at partners or you have a partner yourself, things to be mindful of, right? In terms of what it makes us to be a strategic MuleSoft partner and 8-time partner of the year, is that being a full service SI, right? Beginning to end, making sure you're there from that advisory, that design, the best practice, the build, all the way in the back end to go live and manage service support, making sure that there's a full range of capabilities there. And then connector development. We're always trying to build RAP when it comes to connector accelerators, but also too, with MuleSoft in their partnership, building connectors on the Anypoint Exchange. Again, trying to find a faster way for us to complete our goals, to meet our timelines, our deadlines, and deliver business value in ROI quicker. And then specifically, right, as we kind of go from 30,000 feet all the way down, is automation and why we are here today. We are a key launch partner, and I think that's very, very critical, because when it comes to sort of delivering RPA, IDP, sort of that automation landscape, those flows, those use cases, that value, we have been piloting a lot of those programs with MuleSoft from the inception. And we are a premier automation partner when it comes to that. So happy to get anybody any references or use cases as it revolves around that. But I think as we kind of dive into the demo here, which we're going to get it right to next, just being mindful of those things, what makes, I think, a truly great partner, but also to making sure they're seeing the value when it comes to the use case work and the leadership side. So that's all I had there to start kick things off from a background standpoint. Now I want to get right into the demo and show you guys some value and show you a great use case to go. So Sahil, you can go ahead and take it away and go from there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Josh. I guess now's the interesting part. So good morning, everyone. As entity specializing around delivery of MuleSoft and Salesforce solutions. I will be walking you through this interesting demo, which probably most of us on this call would have seen in some form or the another. Now, we are going to demonstrate the capabilities of both MuleSoft RPA and IDP in unison. But before I jump into executing the demo, let's understand what we are trying to present here, right? Imagine you have a team who's supposed to receive multiple forms of student data, right? These can be documents that you receive via email or any other source. And we want to sort of automate the process of getting data out of these forms and submit into a backend system. For this demo, the backend system is going to be Salesforce, specifically the education cloud. So we are going to try and extract data from these admission forms that we have received from various students and submit this data into Salesforce by creating certain records under the account, the contact, as well as the program enrollment object. Now, this is not limited just to these objects. I've taken a certain creative liberty to showcase this demo, but based on your business needs or how you have set up your ecosystem, pretty much anything within the Salesforce platform is feasible. I mean, we can insert or move data within that platform as you would like to set it up. Along with this, we will also observe a use case where if my data is not available in form of a document, right, it sits in a separate application, a third-party application which does not have APIs to offer. How would I be able to move that data from that third-party application to my systems, right? Anything that's not having APIs. That's where we'll see the power of RPA come into picture and see how that data moves between these systems, right? So collectively, we'll look at both of these technologies working together. But here's a quick design of what we are going to be seeing in a short while, right? As you can see from this, there are sort of two directions that we are going to demo today. The first direction is going to be mostly focusing on the RPA side, where we are going to open up a third-party application on a specific web browser that gives you an indication that MuleSoft has the capability to interact with these applications. Pick out data from that web application and send it to our backend system, which is Salesforce here. The other path that we are going to demo today is the IDP capabilities, where we are going to process certain documents. These PDF documents has data in it. We'll extract that data and using, again, the IDP services, process it and submit that back to Salesforce, right? Now, for this demo, I have already stored these PDF documents onto a file system for me, but the product has capabilities to connect to a separate service wherever your files or these documents may reside. It can be read from an email, from an SFTP server, or a separate network drive for that matter. All righty, I guess everybody is now clear on the use case that we are going to demo out. So let me just jump into the demo right away. But before I actually run the demo, I'm going to quickly refresh my view on Salesforce. So you can see currently there are no contacts out. So shortly, once this process finishes, you will see new data getting entered over here. And let me just quickly open up the student admission forms. These are some PDF forms that we are going to be reading from the service. And you can see I have already populated some data over these forms. So we have data around the student and their parents. That's what we are going to read from these and submit to Salesforce. Into the demo now. So this is the MuleSoft RPA product where all of this implementation is currently hosted. I'm going to quickly run this and you will start seeing this running in the background and doing its job. I've added a few notifications in between which will tell us the exact action that is happening at the moment. So now it's a waiting game. The process has already started and shortly we will see the files, the PDF files being sent to the IDP service, and then so there you go. We were able to successfully submit first file to the IDP service. Now here is the view of the IDP platform that you see on my screen. Any document that's sent to IDP is much configured in a way that it automatically picks this information from the document. But there is an additional functionality with IDP where you can bring in a human or a operator which is sitting in your organization to be part of the overall solution, right? That's something which we call as human in the loop. The human in the loop serves a specific purpose of, ensure that the data from these sources is accurate enough. So if there is a chance that the IDP has not been able to pick up the data correctly, right there on the screen, you will be able to figure out the place or the data point where IDP was not able to extract it with a higher confidence value, and you have the ability to change this value at near real time, so that once this is updated, this updated information flows back into the process in a jiffy. So that's a cool feature that you have with MuleSoft IDP, that you can have a human be part of the overall solution and be able to correct or provide further information if it is necessary, right? So I'm going to just let the process run and do its job, and we will look back once all of this is finished. So as you can see, the process is completely done. So let's move over to Salesforce and verify the results. So I'm going to refresh my view on Salesforce. As well as accounts, we'll see we had 2 student forms. So what we did was basically create a household account within our Salesforce ecosystem, each for a family based on those student forms. And within these household accounts, we created the designated tax, right? So you can see that all of the data that we read from the PDF files was successfully submitted into Salesforce. And taking the creative liberty, I also enrolled the student into a specific program here that you'll see refreshed in a moment. So you can see the students were enrolled into a specific program based on the ecosystem that my Salesforce organization has. So this gives you an idea of how that data can be, extracted from these documents and then sent over to Salesforce. I hope that gave you some idea about, automating the painful process of manually extracting data from these documents. Now we will move over to the next part of the demo, where we'll see if I don't have these documents and they're residing in an application that doesn't have APIs, how would I fetch those, right? So that's where RPA comes into picture. I'm going to quickly change a setting here so that we can see the RPA portion run now. And I'm going to go back on my here. So you can see currently we have only 6 contacts created here that were courtesy of the IDP solution. But now we are going to create more contacts. But the caveat here is that these contacts are not available in any documents, but they are sitting inside a separate web application. So let's run that solution. So shortly you will see that this MuleSoft RPA is going to take control over my system, and it's going to start opening the web browser and logging into that third-party application where all of this data sits. Now, this is not me actually doing these steps. It's the MuleSoft RPA product which has taken control over this system and is now operating to read all of this content from this website. Once it has finished reading all of this content, we are going to get a notification, and post that notification, we are going to see this data getting submitted back to Salesforce. There you go. It was able to successfully read these 5 records from that website. And shortly, it's going to insert all of these into our Salesforce platform. And we are pretty much on to that step. So you can see it's still processing in the background, so we don't have the new data here, but shortly it's going to submit everything. And there you go, the process finished. So we are going to stop this and go back to our Salesforce instance. Let's refresh our view, and voila, all the content, all the new 5 records that had on that third-party website, which does not have typical API integrations, I was still able to read that content through the power of MuleSoft RPA and able to create these records on to my Salesforce platform. So I hope this gave you a fair idea of the capabilities that MuleSoft RPA and IDP has to provide. But typically, solving any business problems requires, the utilization of all of these technologies clubbed together and working in unison. That's the beauty that MuleSoft has to offer here. With that, I will conclude today's demo, and I will jump back to our deck.
Awesome, Sahil. Thank you so much. And again, we'll make sure we can get a even recorded demo out too wide, but just a little bit, right? Just a little bit there in terms of the capabilities there in real time for RPA and IDP. And so as we talk about the product, right? That's how we started. Then we talked about implementation a little bit in terms of partnership, and then obviously showing a real-time use case. Things that I think are important to take away, right? As you kind of leave this kind of webinar, this demo, and things you're thinking about in your meetings, you're talking with your colleagues when it comes to automation, right? How we could potentially bring that in, or the use of it, right? So process to think about on the left-hand side there, right? Automate your data entry and data retrieval and any legacy or modern applications, right? Extracting that data from documents, web forms, PDF, emails, right? And then recognize and extract the text from images and screens, which I think is really, really key and really important as we head into obviously the capabilities of some of those systems there, and automate the multi-step processes. So that's process to think about. And then buzzwords, right? Things that I think if you hear this, think of automation, think of ways you can help: repetitive manual tasks, that rule-based task, right? Avoiding of human error. If somebody's kind of manually entering this stuff into sheets and onto your CRM, on your screen, document processing, high volume of data, and legacy application automation. So again, just things that I think I want to take away as we talk about product, application, implementation, things to think about when you're talking with your teams about, hey, could RPA automation, RPA and IDP be part of what we're doing internally to help speed up any of our processes, to streamline, right, and become more efficient. So, and so you go to the next slide. And just to recap here too, as before we go into some little bit of Q&A, as we talk about, hey, all the things we went over today, a lot of times we get asked like, well, how do we even know if we have some of these use cases? We have some of this business value, right? Well, that's great. That's what NTT and MuleSoft is here to help. So if you like a POC or a custom demo, if you want us to do another webinar with some people on your team, an architecture roadmap workshop is really, really awesome. Sahil has been a part of many of those. Is leading, in terms of our team, what we can bring to clients and customers out there. Case studies, extensions, reference examples, calls, API workshops, and whiteboarding. So again, we talk about some of this stuff. It's sort of like, hey, I think there's a need for it. We're not 100% sure how we can get there, or how it could fit into what we're working on. That's great. Let us help you find those business values, find that ROI, find that use case, and be a part of those discovery meetings with your team. All things that we're capable and we'd be honored to do. So that's a recap, and that's the end for us as we kind of round out.
Looks like that's all of the questions that we received today. So really appreciate the time this afternoon to join on and learn a little bit more about MuleSoft's automation capabilities. We will follow up with an email and the resources that we went over today, so that you're able to view this on demand as well. Thank you so much.